21 reasons why you can't front lever. Let's get started. Reason number 1, you have a low Ape Index. The Ape Index, usually used by climbers, is a ratio comparing your arm wingspan to your height. To find out what your Ape Index is, get your arm wingspan and divide this by your height. Make sure both measurements are in the same unit. The typical or average Ape Index across the entire population is an index of 1, and you may also have an Ape Index of 1, but you may have an Ape Index more than 1 or less than 1. So what does this mean? Well, if you have an Ape Index more than 1, that means your wingspan is greater than your height. This means you could have advantages in certain sports and certain lifts. For example, those of you with a high Ape Index will do very well with deadlifts because you have longer arms or wingspan. That means you have a lower range of motion because you can reach the bar a lot easier. But on the other side of things, if your Ape Index is less than 1, that means your wingspan is less than your height. This means that a few sports and movements could be a bit more difficult for you to achieve naturally, depending on your range of motion and so on. However, you will have advantages in other lifts. So whether you have an Ape Index of more than 1 or less than 1, you will have positives and negatives to both. So to bring it back to the front lever, having a high Ape Index is better because if you had longer arms, the angle you need to be in that perfect front lever form is a lot less than if you have shorter arms. The angle is a lot more acute, so it's a lot harder to achieve that. Now guys, don't worry too much about this Ape Index stuff. It's just a guide to let you know if you could naturally be better at some movements compared to others, but it's not an indicator of whether you can do a movement or not. But just have this in mind when it comes to your training. Reason number 2 why you can't front lever yet is because you're not using a false grip. By using a false grip, you're going to have more leverage on the bar. So what does this mean? So this means that when you're in the front lever, because your weight is pulling you down, your grip is going to loosen over time. So this is something that you need to overcome, and as you build more forearm and arm strength, then you'll be able to hold the front lever a lot easier. But by using the false grip, already you're increasing that leverage because in order for your grip to loosen, your arms have to twist all the way back to this position as I'm showing you on screen. So by using a false grip, you're going to engage more of your forearms. That's half of your arm already. So just by using the false grip, you're going to be increasing how long you can hold the front lever and increasing those hold times for your progressions so you can reach the full front lever a lot quicker. Reason number 3 why you can't front lever yet is because you have an anterior pelvic tilt. Anterior pelvic tilt is when your pelvis is rotated forward. This causes your spine to curve inwards. This can be due to sitting too long or not having the right exercise regimen and stretching regimen to really relax those tight muscles, and you also need to strengthen other muscles like your core, and you might develop this anterior pelvic tilt over time or many years. I personally had this a couple of years ago and really had to stretch out my hip flexors that were really tight and strengthen my core so that my pelvis was in the correct position. This anterior pelvic tilt is very common and you might not even notice that you have it if you haven't checked. So guys, if you have this APT, then when you go into the front lever, it's going to mess with your form and you're going to struggle to get into that perfect front lever. And this goes for any other muscle imbalances and many of you may have. You need to address those first, stretch out any tight muscles before you continue with your training, because this can really hold you back in the long run. Reason number 4 why you can't front lever yet is because you're not doing dragon flags. Just look at this movement guys, how similar is it to the front lever form? It's exactly the same, just you're doing a slightly different movement, like you're on the floor or on a bench as I'm demonstrating here. So guys, do dragon flags because this is really going to build up that core strength and a bit of lat. Depending on how you do these, you can do these in raises, that's really going to work those lats as well as your core, or you can do holds, which is mainly going to focus on that core strength. So guys, do raises and do holds, as well as do this in different progressions. You can do this exactly like a front lever, you can do tuck, you can do advanced tuck, you can do single leg, straddled, all of that. Dragon flags guys, do those, you'll be closer to getting the front lever. Reason number 5 why you can't front lever yet is because you're not engaging your lats. So if you're not engaging your lats, you'll see your front lever look like this. You'll see yourself dipping downwards very slowly. This could be to your lats not being weak, or maybe you're just not engaging them. For those of you that struggle to engage your lat, try opening a door by bringing your elbow backwards. Don't focus on your biceps, focus on bringing your elbow back and behind you while you open this door. You'll feel your lat squeeze when your elbow goes behind your body, And this is kind of what you need to be doing when you're in the front lever. You'll feel your lat kind of squeeze. Another cue you can use is to push down through the bar when you're in that front lever and try and get your hands to the floor. This is really going to try and push you up as you engage your lats more. This could be one of the reasons you're dropping out of that front lever very quickly, so if you know it's not your core, then try working on your lats. Reason number 6 why you can't front lever yet is because you haven't used these exercises. Guys, when I'm in the full front lever, there's 3 things I'm thinking about. One is my upper body, the second is my core or my midsection, and then the last is my legs. This tip is going to help if you have problems with your midsection. So specifically, this is going to be your glutes, because you really need to squeeze your glutes the entire time to keep your hips up. So this is all about keeping your hips up. So core engage and you're squeezing your glutes to really push those hips up. That's what you need to be doing in the full front lever. And the first exercise I have to help you with that is inverted deadlifts. So as you can see, doing this, you're really working on those glutes and those pushing muscles to help push your butt in line with your body. And here we're just using gravity, as we do as calisthenics athletes, to really work this exercise, work our glutes and work that midsection. The second exercise is this front lever hip thrust. It's pretty similar but a lot easier to perform, and as you can see, again, we're working on pushing our hips up so we get in that straight line, working our glutes, working our core while keeping everything nice and tight, keeping that tension throughout the body. This is really going to help with your alignment in the front lever and keeping that nice straight line. Reason number 7 why you can't front lever yet is because you're not depressing your scapula. Scapula, or in other words, your shoulder blades and the muscles surrounding it, they need to be depressed. And instead of depressed, we can say we need to push these down towards our feet. So that means when in the front lever, if we're not depressing our scapula, our front lever is going to be looking like this. But really, we need to push down and keep our scapula depressed, our shoulder blades down, because then we're going to be in the most stable position where we can fight gravity and actually keep in that strict front lever position. So guys, if you're not working on depressing your scapula, you really need to when you're in that front lever position. Reason number 8 why you can't front lever yet is because you're not doing the low bar scapular pull-up. So I know a lot of people, when they're learning the pull-up or the front lever on a high bar, they're doing and starting with this scapular pull-up, which is a great exercise for building that scapular strength for these pulling movements. However, some people are only training on the low bar, but they don't still do this kind of scapular pull-up, but you still need to be training it. Even if you're on a low bar, use what you can. Start doing these scapular pull-ups on a low bar. It's still going to help with that retraction, bringing the shoulder blades backwards, kind of towards the ground when you're in that front lever position. It's really going to strengthen them in that position, and you need to be training this as well if you're on a low bar. Reason number 9 why you can't front lever yet is because you have weak rear delts. So guys, the rear delt, or the rear part of the shoulder, you can see that right here. It works on pulling the shoulder blades backwards. This is important in the front lever because if you don't get this retraction or this pulling backwards of the shoulder blades and the upper back, you get this really rounded upper back, which is natural when you get tired and when you've been holding the progression for a couple of seconds. Your upper back will naturally start to round. But when you're working with progressions you have manageable, or you've just started your hold, you really want to focus on bringing those shoulder blades back and really holding that there. You don't want this loose upper back where there's no tension. It's going to make learning the front lever a lot harder. Keep the tension up top. Work on those rear delts because it's really neglected by a lot of disciplines. It's a tiny muscle, but it makes a big difference to the upper back and how you hold your front lever. So guys, work on your rear delt. Reason number 10 why you can't front lever yet is because you're skipping this progression. So guys, I talked about these progressions in my ultimate guide to learning the front lever, which you can find on my channel, but I'll talk about it here very briefly, but I'll go in more detail in that video. So guys, the frog front lever, what is this and how does it help you? Well guys, when you're learning the front lever, the advanced tuck front lever can be manageable for a lot of people, but then going to the straddle front lever or even a single leg front lever, that's a big difference. You can see how outstretched you become in the straddle front lever. So we need an intermediate between the advanced tuck and the straddle, which is the frog front lever. So guys, if you're trying to get that straddle or single leg front lever and you haven't tried the frog front lever, well then guys, that's the next thing you need to do after watching this video. Reason number 11 why you can't front lever yet is because you're not training the full range of motion. So guys, we know if we increase our range of motion, especially to the full range of motion that our body is capable of, we're gonna become stronger in that dynamic movement as well as that kind of static movement as well. So this goes for the front lever. This can be exercises like the front lever pull negatives, where you go up into a front lever and then drop down slowly. You can do this in the tuck, single leg, or whatever progression you want to do. But guys, as long as you're doing these dynamic movements with straight arms as well, working the similar muscles, guys, you're going to increase your progression and it's going to carry over to those static skills as well. Reason number 12 why you can't front lever yet, and you've heard this before, it's because you're not using resistance bands. Guys, I won't spend too long on this one. You've heard me mention resistance bands before in my last 21 reasons why you can't planche video, and guys, one of the reasons is the same in this video, is because you don't have resistance bands. Guys, you need to buy resistance bands if you don't have them and you're serious about calisthenics. I learned the front lever mainly using only 2 exercises. One was progressions and the other was assisted holds using a resistance band. But if you are struggling, these other tips will help. But guys, the number one thing you probably should be doing is working with resistance bands. So if you don't have one, go buy one. Reason number 13 why you can't front lever yet is because you're not working on front lever pull-ups, even if you're beginner or intermediate. So guys, this is gonna tie in with the last tip, which is to use a resistance band. But if you haven't already, get that resistance band and then start doing front lever pull-ups. So now you're working on those rear delts, those lats again. You're working a lot more muscles, not just static exercises. You're doing dynamics again, and this will carry over to those static holds. Front lever pull-ups, you don't want to progress too much with your statics and let your dynamics fall behind, because trust me, with the planche stuff, I made that mistake. Reason number 14 why you can't front lever yet is because you have weak glutes. So guys, I kind of talked about this already, but it's that midsection. Again, a part of the front lever really is that midsection and really being able to push and keep everything up. Your lats really help with that, but you need to keep the tightness in your glutes and core. So of course, to be able to do this, you need strong glutes that are able to contract well isometrically. If we get those stronger, we're going to have a much easier time in straddle planches and front levers because we're going to have stronger glutes. So guys, why not start now? Don't wait for 2022. Start working your glutes, start working those legs, and get the front lever a lot quicker. Reason number 15 why you can't front lever yet is because you're doing the single leg front lever wrong. One misconception about the single leg front lever is that you have that one leg tucked in completely all the way to your chest. If you're doing this, this isn't correct, because by tucking your leg all the way in, you're going to start curving your spine. This is going to put your legs and the rest of your body in the wrong position to do the front lever. So to do the single leg front lever correctly, you want to have that one knee in an advanced tuck position. That's going to keep your spine neutral, and therefore the rest of your body will follow. Reason number 16 why you can't front lever yet is because you're too heavy. So guys, this one's a simple one. We're bodyweight athletes. This means we do movements using our body weight to train with. But if we keep our strength but lose some of our body weight, well, that means there's less weight to move and the movements become a lot easier. So if you're struggling with the front lever, consider going on a cut, losing a bit of body fat, a bit of body weight, and try and maintain your strength as much as you can. And guys, this might be the difference between you getting the front lever and you not. You might just be a bit too heavy, so that relative strength you need to get, it might just be a bit too much. But an easier way of doing it might just be going on a small cut, losing a bit of that excess body fat and getting lighter. Reason number 17 why you can't front lever yet is because you're not using this intermediate progression. So guys, this progression I'm showing you right here is an intermediate progression that really works on opening up your hips, because from the tuck to advanced tuck, you haven't really properly opened up your hips, but then after that you're fully opening your hips. So guys, this progression is really gonna work at small increments with helping you open up your hips. Reason number 18 why you can't front lever yet is because you're not using pumps. So pumps or swings are a thing I use for my planche progressions and learning the planche move. I'm just going back and forth from the progression that I'm good with, that I have control over, into the progression that I'm kind of struggling with and holding it just for a second. Reason number 19 why you can't front lever yet is because you're using the band in the wrong spot. So guys, I've seen a lot of people when they're doing the assisted front lever, they have the band in the wrong spot. So really play around with the position of the band, but also if it really doesn't work for you, having the band around your waist, because I have taught some people and they really don't fancy the band being at their waist like that. If that really doesn't work with you, then try doing the assisted front lever like this, like I'm showing you on screen. Reason number 20 why you can't front lever yet, it's because you're using momentum. So guys, when you're doing front lever raises or front lever pulls, as some people also call them, then you don't want to be using momentum to kind of glide past that bit where you're in the front lever. You want to be doing it under control. This is why I much prefer negatives over doing the positives. A front lever pull is a positive, but if I'm just learning the move, then I really want to be focusing on negatives. And the last reason why you can't front lever yet is because you haven't watched this video on how I was able to learn the touch front lever in just 30 days. Guys, if you take the tips I teach you in this video and apply it to your own training, who knows, you might be able to learn the front lever in a very short amount of time.